All right. Hey, everybody. So I just wanted to make this quick video. My thing for this week is why self-care is so important. This is just every aspect of our lives. Self-care really affects every aspect of our lives, whether doing it, not doing it. If we're doing it, it affects positively. If we're not doing it, obviously negatively. And this goes for kids, home life, relationships, friends, work, all of it. So let's dive into that a little bit. Now, this is kind of touchy if you are overwhelmed. Sometimes hearing hard truths can be really difficult. I know the first time the first time my boyfriend asked me, "Can you fix it?" Oh, I lost my mind. I think I went 4 days without speaking to him because I could not believe he would ask me such a stupid question. So, I just want to start by saying I understand, like, what I'm going to say in this video is not, there's no judgment, there's no shaming. I'm not making assumptions. I'm not saying this is you. I'm just making a very needed to point to the people that do need to hear it. So I'm not picking on anyone. It's basically a bringing to light things we don't think about. Okay, so um, like I would tell my massage clients, I say this with all the love in my heart, simply to help. Okay, so one of the big things, and this I think is going to be the biggest struggle with most people, most of my clients, even my massage clients. This has been the struggle, is trying to get people to care about themselves, i.e., self-care. So when I talk about self-care, I mean literally caring about yourself, taking the time, making better food choices, taking the time to exercise, taking time to veg out and recover, rejuvenate, whatever you want to call it. That's what I mean by self-care. And I need to clarify that because I feel like there's a lot of different definitions out there. So everything I talk about, all my self-care, just means caring about yourself. Simple. We're keeping it simple, right? So here's the tough thing, and just follow my train of thought here, is the number one thing. I have heard this for over a decade from so many moms out there. Moms, it must be the mom mentality. Kids come first, house comes first. I need to run everything, do everything. Everything else comes first. Maybe one day I'll find time for me. Or I remember some clients saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice to have time for self-care?" You just have to make time. And I say that in the sense of make yourself a priority, because every time we make our schedule for the day and every time we choose what we put in there, we are most likely choosing things to not put in there. And this goes back to, like, if you're sick, if you're in bed and you have a really bad flu and you're literally in bed for 2 days, the house doesn't fall down. People don't run around starving and naked. Things carry on. And then when you're well again, you get up and you resume doing everything you were doing. So this is kind of a case in point of the things you leave off your schedule will still be there, right? They will. They're always still there. I mean, that's one of the, we used to say it, I say we, us, for me, previously overwhelmed, when we're overwhelmed, we always said it negatively. It'll be there tomorrow. But that's the fact. That's also a positive. If you need to leave it off your schedule, it's okay. It'll be there tomorrow. And that's a great thing, because it doesn't just, right? The house doesn't just fall in because you didn't get it vacuumed today. Like, it'll be there tomorrow. So following, again, we're going to carry this conversation further, is making those choices, deciding what's important to you, and why you need to decide you are important to you. So the number one thing, I'm going to continue to speak to parents. Mostly the moms have the problems with this, but if you guys resonate, just keep following along, and we'll get to the business side of life in a minute. Um, Kids are sponges. We all know this. It's kind of the joke, like the toddler, the 4 or 6 year old. It kind of doesn't matter how old they are. Maybe when they get to be 8, they start ignoring us more, but they are absorbing everything. We think they're not listening. They're listening. They're always listening, right? So we need to keep this in mind where they are absorbing everything we do. They watch us, they see what we do, they mimic us. That's how they learn. You see the memes on the couch, or sorry, you see the memes on social media, and they say it in movies, even like Forrest Gump, where they're both sitting in front of the TV the same way. Um, they watch what we do, and the meme about the dad on the couch crossing the leg with the book and the chips, and the son looks exactly the same, just mini dad. But that's how they learn. That's how they learn to live, is by doing what we do, following us, mimicking us, shadowing us. That's what they do, right? They are absorbing everything. So the point of that is, when you choose to put the kids first, the house first, the dog first, everything comes first, you come last, they're watching that. They're absorbing that. And what you're telling them is, when they have kids of their own, they cease to basically exist. They cease to matter as a person, as an individual human that deserves rest, relaxation, care, good things for themselves. It's unfortunate, but that's the message we're sending. When you have a family of your own, you don't matter as a person anymore. I don't know how many times, even like talking to my massage clients, where I would say, your name is not mom. You have a name. You're a person, you're not just mom. And we need to remember that, right? You are a person. And so remember all the littles in our life, whether you're a parent, you're an aunt, your uncle, if you have kids in your life, they are watching you. And we need to be responsible for the precedent, what word am I looking for? The role model, the idea of how life is lived, what we set for them, what we show for them, what we model for them. So yeah, it's just really important, because even your son, if they don't pick up on the fact that you stop mattering, they might expect their future spouse to stop mattering when they have kids, right? And again, we don't want any of our kids to treat their spouses like that. And then your daughters, whoever's going to become that mother role model, you don't want them to know, once they have kids, they don't matter. We don't want any littles in our life to ever think at any point in their future life they're going to stop mattering as people. So we need to take that hard look at ourselves in the mirror and decide that we matter. We are people too, right? And really get back to that. And remember, because I know a lot of you moms out there, and again, maybe the dads too, whatever. I don't know. There's so much complexity in the world. You're a parenting figure. Just, even if you can't do it for yourself in this moment, do it for the littles, to set that good example for them. You matter, no matter how old you get, no matter how many kids you get, no matter how many pets. You matter as a human being, and you deserve to be taken care of. Right? All right. So that's a big one. I am no judgments, no nothing. We are just like dealing with pure facts. If you do this, here's what we're saying. Great. If you want to change it, awesome. And if you're that person where you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, I don't want to continue this, great. That's it. Then today's a new day. What are you going to do better today? What one piece of self-care are you going to add in? Maybe you're going to choose a salad over fries. Because remember, self-care is caring about yourself, making a good choice physically, making a good food choice, taking an extra time to read, whether it's taking a break, getting into meditation. Remember, self-care, we are feeling physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Those are our main four tanks. Anything that helps any of those areas is self-care. So it doesn't have to be big and huge. You could throw on a 5-minute meditation for gratitude or rebalancing or positivity, whatever it might be. And that's it. That could be your self-care for today. If that's all you have time for, great. Honestly, and if you're that busy, I highly recommend just putting on a very lovely sleep meditation. Help you get to sleep, and it sets you up for a good sleep. It does help. Yeah, so let's just decide. The main thing is doesn't matter how we got here, nobody's to blame. Just if we want to change, how are we going to do it? We're going to decide today. Today's a new day. How are we going to do one thing better for tomorrow? Then that's it. Easy peasy. We are making life simple here. That's it. Now, the other big thing is business, our work lives. A lot of my clients are entrepreneurs, business owners, and the biggest thing that people don't think about, especially again, if you're overwhelmed, you have anxiety, you have stress, there's a lot of things we're not thinking about. Like, let's be real. There's a lot of things we just don't even realize because we're so busy worrying about trying to survive the day, trying to get these things done, that there's no real room for extra thought and thinking outside the box. So again, no judgments, no nothing, just bringing to light some facts. If you want to make a change, great, make that change, decide and do it. So our businesses, and even if you're an employee and you have more of your mainstream type job, that's okay. Whatever your work or business is, it is an extension of yourself, especially as a business owner. What your values are, your beliefs, you bring into your business. If you have employees, like your SOPs and all that, everything is made from your values you have of your business come from your values as a person. Same as kids. We all have different parenting techniques. We all have different parenting styles because we're all vastly different people, which is why every business is going to have different values, different little bit. You could go to 10 cleaning businesses and you're going to find 10 different SOPs because it's that owner's personality, values, whatever they believe is best is put into those. And that's why it's so variable. I mean, you're going to have your basic standards of here's how we literally clean stuff, but you're still going to have a vast array of differences. And so realizing that our businesses, our work is an extension of us. And so even if you're that employee, and I'm going to use the example of casinos because I worked in a casino for 6 years, started off as a dealer, worked my way up, yada, yada. And as a dealer, there were some dealers where just their personality, who they were, blank face, didn't talk to people, dealt the cards, right? They didn't get very good performance reviews. Clients, the patrons didn't really like them. They were just kind of there. They filled a void. They did the job. They were never going to get promoted. They probably didn't want to, but their performance review, like they were just there, right? Whereas, I mean, I'm an overachiever, so I come in and I like to have fun. I always like to have fun. I'm the bright side of life person, right? So I come in, how are you guys? We're going to play some cards. If we're at blackjack, how's the table? Are we hot, we cold? What are we doing? If the table wants to have fun, I'm going to have fun with them. The best part is like how tooting my own horn here, but I was such a good dealer. I would still get tipped when I took everyone's money because I was engaging, I'm laughing, the waitress comes around, we're all having a great time, right? And it's the experience that people really love. Yes, some people go to the casino, everyone loves to make money, but if you're having a good time, you're not necessarily upset about losing or spending the money, right? And so I always got tipped. Even when I took people's money, I was still making tips. And of course, then I got promoted. I moved up in the ranks, because you just put yourself into that work. You're an extension of the work. I, I'm not quite sure, yeah, how else to really explain that. But whatever work you do, and so of course that's for our business, right? When we create a business, it's an extension of ourselves, but it's also like a child. If you're a business owner or entrepreneur, because you literally created that business, you have to nurture it, you have to grow it, you have to feed it, you have to like always be looking after it and tending to it, right? So we put so much of ourselves into our work and our businesses. And so if we're not 100%, if we're all like depleted and like, right, then that's what we're giving to our business. And similarly, that's what we're giving to our family. And just, I know we've all done this. So that whole where you're just like, oh my God, I don't have the mental capacity for this, or you're just like, I don't have the energy to deal with this right now. Like, we've all done it, right? I remember doing that so much when I was overwhelmed. When you have self-care, when you're filling your tanks, when your battery is at 80, 90, 100%, that doesn't happen. There is no, I don't have energy. You're riding high. Battery is full. Let's go, right? It's like, also, so last night I go to take a picture, and turns out, because I am not glued to my phone, I lose it pretty much every day. My boyfriend thinks this is absolutely hilarious. I never know where my phone is. So I go to take a picture last night, and my battery's at 3%, and it's like, nope, can't use that. Nope, can't use a flash, can't do that. And I'm like, whoops, should have charged my battery, right? But we're the same. When we let our battery get so low, we don't have self-care, we allow ourselves to get that depleted, we literally cannot do normal, basic things that we should be able to do with no problem, because we literally just don't have the energy for it, right? I hope this is really landing, because this is really important to get, like, why self-care is mandatory, not a luxury. So think of that cell phone. The battery gets too low, and there are literal basic functions it can't do. We are the same. And then you think there are some basic functions you can't do. And now you're trying to operate a business. Now you're trying to parent your kids. Now you're trying to clean a house. How effective do you think you're going to be? How great of a job do you think you're doing? And especially for your business. If you're so depleted and you can't think, and you're just like, oh my God, like, I just want to go home, and then something happens and you need to make a decision, this is not working properly. You literally do not have your basic thought processes working for you. What kind of decision do you think you're going to make? Right? Whereas you keep that self-care up, you keep those tanks full, decisions, something happens, you're like, okay, let's brainstorm. Okay, I've got 3 ideas. Maybe you talk to someone else. Okay, I've got this. We're going to do this. And you just take care of things. And I know you're thinking, does it really happen like this? Yes, I know it's one of those, you're gonna have to really have it happen to you and try it to believe me. But literally, I've been on both sides of the fence. And I remember, like, when you're overwhelmed, you're depleted, you're just like, oh, I just love to get a massage, just book it, right? But when you're that person who's not doing the self-care, I remember trying to brainstorm, trying to think, trying to make choices, and someone will say something and you're like, well, that's so simple. Why didn't I think about that? I should have thought about that. Because you're not able to. So this is also a good, like, little point to put in here. Have so much grace with yourself, because you're not in a good place right now. So don't beat yourself up for not thinking of something, not doing something, whatever. It doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter how we got here. The fact, we're dealing with facts. The fact is, this is where we are. Is this where we want to stay? Most likely not. Okay, what are we going to do one thing to make tomorrow better? And that's it, guys. We always just want to do one thing because we need to make one small change here, implement that, make it a habit, add another. Implement that, make it a habit, add an, oh my God, I'm knitting a scarf. There we go. We're going to knit a scarf. You got to complete the whole row of loops before you move on to the next row and add the next row of loops. But you got to finish it. Otherwise, you're having the worst looking, it's not even going to be a scarf. I wonder if I'll keep that metaphor, knitting a scarf. But yeah, this is why it's so important, because truly, if you wonder why you can't think of more creative ideas, you want to expand your business, like things are not flowing like you think they should, you might be the reason. I don't want to say problem because we're never problems. But truly, and I've experienced this, when we relax, when we have no stress, life is great, things come up, you start problem solving, you start brainstorming, things start flowing, and boom, you just get ideas. It really is amazing. I was really astounded when it first started happening to me. The more I lowered my stress, the more great ideas I had, and the more I could think, and the more I could do. It was really wonderful. So I hope that I've gotten across how important self-care is. Important for our life, important for our kids, our families, our friends. Because again, the relationships, what energy, what are we giving to those relationships? Are we too tired? Are we just can't, we're trying to have a conversation and you're so tired you can't even pay attention to what they're saying. I mean, no fault of your own per se, because you are exhausted, but not really being the greatest friend. Like, what if your friend did that to you? You wouldn't feel very great about yourself, right? So it's that being at our best self to give everyone else our best self. Like, even for me, I think I think my clients deserve me at my best. They deserve 100% of me, 100% of my thought process, 100% of my full undivided attention, and giving them the best that I have. And I can only do that if I recharge my battery. Otherwise, could you imagine if you jump on a call with, I'm coaching you in stress and anxiety, and I'm all like, huh? Yeah, what, huh? Huh? What did you say? Sorry? Like, you would be very, very upset with me. But then you think again, if you're walking into a store, for example, and even clothing stores, right? I do like shopping for clothes. And if it's the right store. And I remember going into stores and you can see the salesperson and she's on the desk and she's like this, or she's like kind of looking over like, oh my God, like you can tell they're giving off a vibe and you're like, you know what? I don't really think there's a few cute shirts, but you're going to be tough to deal with. You got some bad vibes going. Like, I'll go elsewhere. Like, you look like I shouldn't disturb you right now. Whereas if you go in a store, and I've had this where, I walk into a clothing store and they're like, oh, hi, good day. How are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing great. Are you looking for anything in particular? And I'm like, no, actually, I'm just kind of shopping. Great. Let me know if there's anything I can do. And they smile and they walk away. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, I will. Okay. And then I'm trying to buy everything in that store. I'm like, because I know she's going to be helpful. She's got great energy. She's giving me her at least 80%, but I'm thinking 100%, whatever it is, I'm loving it. Like, I want to stay. Right. So it's that being the best for you to give your best to everyone else. Right. Again, I hope this is really landing. It is really just so important. That is the biggest thing. Even when I was massaging people, just trying to get that message across, how important self-care really, really is, right? So kind of our everything affects it. So I would just challenge you, give it 2, maybe 3 solid weeks. I'll say 2 weeks to start, because 1 week sometimes isn't enough, depending. If you're only going to do a little 5 minutes, 1 week might not be enough, but give it a good couple of weeks, adding in that little bit of self-care in there. If you're just like feeling really whole, take 5 minutes, put on a meditation, put on a good tune, journal it out, whatever gets you kind of motivated and gets you back into the game, right? Just make a better food choice, take a small walk, whatever it is, just every day, do a little something of self-care and see how you're feeling at the end of the couple weeks and really commit to it. Because here's the thing too, guys, and I used to be this person, and there's a ton of us out there where we're like, okay, challenge accepted, except I'm going to half-ass it and actually self-sabotage myself to prove that I'm right. Aha. I've done it. I've been that person. I'm going to show up, and you're like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to know I'm right. I'm going to prove to you I'm right. Don't do that. If this is the thing, you're like, all right, I'll give it a try, but it's not going to work. Well, then you've already decided it's not going to work, which means you're going to make it not work, and don't even bother. That is a defeatist attitude, and you will self-sabotage yourself and you will make it not work, or you'll choose not to see the positive signs and the good things that are happening. So if that's you, you need to get a little more positivity and gratitude. Come back to this video, come back to this challenge. But yeah, I challenge you, get it in there, start small, celebrate. And that's the other thing, guys, is every time you make a good choice, like you park your car 4 stalls further away in the parking lot than you normally would, celebrate that. Be proud. Every small win you do, especially with self-care, that's part of this challenge. Celebrate. You park 4 stalls further. You're like, I'm going to take like 20 extra steps today. I'm like, I'm doing something good for me. And you don't literally have to do it outwardly. You can just keep it all inwardly. We don't need people, staring at you and thinking you're on something. But just celebrate, because when you think a nice, good thought, you smile. I did something good. Yeah. Okay. Good. And and so could you imagine if we do like 5, 6 little self-care things throughout the day and we celebrate every one of them? And now we're smiling 6 more times throughout the day that we weren't before. And then could you imagine if we celebrate every small win we have throughout the day? Just a little food for thought. But yeah, always celebrate. I've talked about it before. Our little toddler brain, our subconscious is basically a toddler. They don't always know what they did right. They just love the applause. They want more of it, and they'll figure out what they did right to get that applause again. And so the more we celebrate tiny self-care wins, the more we're going to want to do self-care activities. So reinforce it, love it, challenge it, and let me know, guys. Drop in the comments. If you're up for this challenge, drop in the comments after you've done it, halfway through. Let me know the progress you've made, how you felt before, after, the changes. If you are also a person who loves self-care, you know how awesome this is, drop that in the comments too. Let's encourage other people that this is really important, and let's encourage other people to jump on our bandwagon, because it really, really is important. So all the comments, guys, anything, if you're thinking any thought throughout this, drop it in the comment, please. I'd love to hear it. And yes, I always have to say, please subscribe, and please tell your friends. I would absolutely love that. The more subscribers, the more I can reach out, and the more we can help people. And we'll just get that little ripple in the pond out there. And then we'll all be happier and more grateful, positive people together. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day.